Welcome everyone. In this video I'm going to be covering my circuit with the addition of Tesla's patent number 336961. Shout out to a couple of people that are doing the research on this particular patent and crossing it with laser sabers, super jewel ringer. There are just some things I want to clear up here because, there are statements being made that that you need certain components, and that's not necessarily true. And so in this video you'll see that you can do it with other things, but I don't want to discourage people from experimenting and coming up with hypotheses and conclusions, because we need to investigate all of those things. So I'm not saying what's being stated is wrong, and this is a perfect time to point out that if you have an alteration to a circuit at all, which this is drastically altered to MTEX. So I'll put the links down but there's some people that are doing some good work, just doing the research, and whether you're right or wrong is irrelevant. The fact that you commit to everyone's benefit by just doing the research. So I want to encourage people. So like at MTech, doing a great job. I disagree with selling the stuff. This is the reason why we're all poor. This is the reason why we're energy poor, because this stuff isn't taught in our schools. And I understand everyone needs to make money, but at the same time, we need to understand they use that against us. And so we need to band together and give this information freely available, and make it very clear and transparent. This is not your work. This has been done before. So that patent there, I noticed MTech has chosen just one particular winding, which would be number 2 from what I can tell. So you notice there that one starts in the middle. This one starts in the middle as well, but also goes separate directions, like separate, like clockwise, anti-clockwise type scenarios. So same with this one. This one just starts at one end, and both wires travel the length of the rod. But if you notice on my circuit here, there's no coil form. It's just an air form. So why can't, that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't have to go buying these special met glass things. And, and again, I'll remind everyone that if you change one tiny thing, then you have built something else. And you can't say that, what MTech's doing, for example, isn't accurate or correct, because you've got something else. That would be like putting 2 wheels on a vehicle instead of 4. It would be a motorbike. Still a vehicle, not a car. So need to remember that what I'm about to show you here, this is different to what MTech's doing. But I'm using that same patent that's wound on top of my thing. I will say straight away, it does have, it seems to be running my circuit for longer. And there's certain things that are claimed to be elusive, like, that, look, the tricks have all been realized before. So these neon bulbs, which I've shown you in my other videos, and I'll try to remember to link to those, they are an isolation means, a means of passing the electricity through without a direct connection. And the difference is quite huge. If I can safely remove this one, for example, and we'll see the spark that's generated by that. Let that build up for a couple of seconds and then hit it, and then those who are keen on measuring velocity of sparks over distance, you can do your magic with that. Right, so that would be the difference between, so we connect that back to the neon, and I'll try and show you what it's like through the neon. There's almost no spark. But that's important, because if you go putting that directly onto the battery like I just showed you when I was sparking it, that will pull the whole thing out of resonance. And then you think it's charging, it won't be. So those neons, nothing special there. You don't need to go buying expensive equipment. Those are really cheap too, by the way. So, grab yourself some of them, cold cathode type. Again, don't bog yourself down. If what you've got isn't perfect, just try it, because you will be surprised 9 times out of 10. Now, there are different places to connect the earths, and the response is phenomenal. Like, the different response is huge. So that's super, super important. Like here, for example, we've got the earth connected to the Tesla patent. And note that it goes, I'll put the schematics up here, because it looks like a bit of a shit show. So schematics will be available. Don't stress yourself. But that coil, that earth line, which is earth line number 2, goes on the coil side of the diodes. All right. And that I've got run into a capacitor. Again, I'll put it all up. I'm running my 2 resonant light coils. They just operate just in proximity, or you can place them near the core. It's a little too strong near the core for those LEDs. Everything matters, and so this is why I want to encourage people just to do a bit more research, because like this light here doesn't shine as bright as this one, because this one, the other way around, sorry, that one doesn't shine as bright as the first one, because the diode's facing the wrong way. Well, it's not wrong way, the other way. So it's same coil, same winding, same direction, same capacitor, same wire, same LED, just facing a different direction. So I want to encourage people to do the experimentation, and I don't want to say anybody's wrong for what they've already claimed, because they may very well be right if you used those exact parameters. Just want to say that it can be done. So if you look at MTEX, I'll put the links down in the description. NTEX, someone else that's doing a really good job with this replication of Tesla's patent is Fausto Gomes, someone who's also looking into it, and cross-promoting everyone, which is great, and that's what my entire channel is about, is making sure that you feel comfortable to express your point of view without the ridicule that the establishment would give, because you suggest this to your teacher, or you suggest it to anyone else in an industry, and they'll laugh at you and they'll mock you. And at the end of the day, look, I'm going to say it, they don't know shit. They don't know shit. The amount of electricians that I've stood in front of and said, please explain, and they don't know shit. So sorry for the aggression, but it gets me annoyed that they go around with their egos intact and thinking they know everything, and they don't know anything. I stump them all the time. It's just they know what they've been taught. It isn't their fault. And so I don't blame them for that necessarily, but I want to encourage people. So, MTech, doing a great job. Disagree with selling. Fausto Gomes doing a great job. Nice, clear instructions on how people can do this stuff. Joe Easygo, great job. Guardian Engraving, has some great work. Again, I'll put all the links down the bottom there. But yeah, there's just some. There are some anomalies, and I will say that this, adding that Tesla patent to my circuit, so again, I'll put my circuit if you want to build that. The reason why I like my circuit over the other one, so the one that's the laser saber, is because my circuit seems to be able to run more things. Like, I don't know if we can see here. So I have the same resonant or radiant frequencies, radiant electricity that comes, lights up this little thing here. And I put that on any piece of metal in this room, and it lights up nice and bright. So that's just a little aerial-like radiant energy collector. Just collects it from the air. If you have a capacitive plate suspended in the air where my finger is, and where I'm touching the metal plate you have an earth, that'll just stay lit up while it's in the presence, anywhere within about 2 meters, and this thing will light up. But it'll light up just being near the battery. So I mean, I could put this pair of pliers here, and that will be possibly attracting some scalar waves. So any piece of metal in the room. There's some other things I want to mention while I've got everyone's attention. Hopefully I've still got your attention. Is MTech has placed their coil on the aluminium heatsink. Now, in my case, I do need the aluminium heatsink. However, that's the reason why I've got the spaghetti cables coming out, is because it will pull down in certain places. It'll pull down on the magnetic effect. Aluminium creates a dielectric. It creates a disturbance in the eddy currents, and so whilst that is important to have there, it does affect the whole operation. For example, here, so if we watch that light there, that's going from the high voltage line of my original coil, and that gets fed to earth, and then the earth line coming back, the secondary earth line attaches to the Tesla coil. But we'll use this as an indicator. I've got this little Pi UFO that I made for my anti-gravity experiments, and it's quite impressive. It does well as a little UFO, but I'll use it as an example here. So if I was to place that, we'll watch the light. I'll put that up against the bottom of this coil here, and you will see the light dim. Now, I'm not saying you should not have your coil, like in MTech's case, on top of the aluminium heatsink like he's done, but you can clearly see there's a reduction in voltage going through that light. And so, but here's the thing, this is why I want people to experiment, because you can't take that as a well, definitely don't do this, because if we take my homemade capacitor, which is wound up to fit just perfectly inside there, and we watch that same light, and I'll slide that into place, and we have an increase in brightness. So you probably see more effect from around the light bulb, so like things that the light's cast onto, as I place that in and out, more so than the light bulb itself. The camera will adjust the brightness of that actual bulb. It's brighter than what it appears on camera there. So again, just placing, see, this is aluminium too, but if I place it that way, across the coil, you'll see a reduction. So if I place it inside the coil, you get the increase. This is why I want people to experiment, and please, for everyone else that's watching this, your textbooks cannot explain that. Please stop trying to ridicule those who are doing important research into this field. I don't agree with just going, turning into a yes man and just agreeing with everything that everyone says. But instead, I would encourage people, have a look at this stuff. My circuit is freely available. And, whilst I will take credit for its design, it was an accident. So I'm 100% honest here. I wired it up wrong. But it's amazing. It does some amazing things. I've never seen a coil that will attach itself to any coil that I put to it. It'll operate and function any coil that I throw at it. Absolutely every one, which is just confusing on the resonance side, because normally you have to make coils match. Whereas this coil of mine, it just doesn't seem to care. And I don't know how it does it, but it does it. So, all right, well, I might wrap that up. I hope I've remembered everything. I'm doing some windings at the moment with that Tesla patent. Just comparing the difference. You'll notice this one here goes wires going in the same direction. So that's as if you just wound a coil from end to end in the same direction and then just center tapped it. So that's all that is. I do extra experiments. So I'll run that high voltage line through a transformer there. I can show you how you can get DC out of this high voltage line that runs through the earth. That's very, very easy to do. There's a weird phenomenon too, that it actually comes out as DC. You put an LED across, you run this high voltage line through this coil, put an LED across the other coil, and it'll only work in one way. So that's almost creating a positive negative, a DC structure in that coil. So look, we won't find these things if we just don't build it. This circuit of mine, super, super easy to build. Again, I'll put the links for it. Please build it so you can probably discover something faster than me. I've got a serious disability. I just had another health episode, and I've been down for a couple of days, and then there's this sense of urgency for me. It's like, well, when I'm back on my feet, I need to show people what I know, just in case the worst happens. So, all right, I'll leave it there. It is impressive, I will say that. One other thing, the batteries. So this is nowhere near as efficient as what MTech has stated if you're using sealed lead acid batteries, they have a much slower charge rate and they just can't cope with it. Also, the other thing is that you will have a much bigger success running this circuit from capacitors. Because of that charge issue, the charge rate, it's only using a very small amount of power, 5.86 watts. Or that's with the aluminium capacitor in there, so that chews a bit more power. And there we go, 4 watts. You know, and that'll run. I've had these two lights just sitting on top of it like that for the whole time it's been running, and it just stays at that 12.78, 12.7 charge. So and that's with, also I got down here, I try not to get this camera too close because there is a massive field here, a radioelectric field. So there you can see I've got two more of Tesla's patents. Well, sorry, there's one coil, and that's just sitting beside the battery. So that's picking up energy from within the battery. On the other side of the battery, I've got the same coil, and they are connected. You go positive to negative, and they can just be added up. So you could put a whole heap of them around the area, and just positive, negative, just string them up like you would a battery. They produce DC, and are currently coming out of those two, one on either side of the battery, no earth connection, nothing else. They are producing 14 volts between the two of them, DC. So, you know, everything helps. I'm not sold on how much that is doing at the moment because I didn't have those on before and the battery was maintaining its charge. So again, not pulling a load from this, not a big load. And I believe the differences between this using my coil and MTech's coil is most likely nothing more than the batteries. Those batteries he's using are very expensive, but they also have a very, very rapid recharge rate. See, with my coil, like you put these, I've got these other coils, you know, I'll try and put the descriptions of them on this video as well. They're on my other video, but if I place that just on the battery, there we go. So my coil will do all those fancy things too, but most importantly, you don't need to buy expensive shit. Air. There's just air in there. Okay, thanks for watching. Have a nice day.